this week and next week I'm thinking to talk something which is important for you to know. Buddhism for this world. What we gain, what we have to do within this lifetime. Buddhism for this world. So the next week, Buddhism for the next world. So do you like to know? Buddhism for this world. What we have to do, or what do we gain within this lifetime? Because there are many people, actually they don't believe that there will be another life after this. Amongst Buddhists also there are Buddhists, Christians, and those who have no religion, of course. This is the only life. And scientists, great thinkers, rationalists, they have no idea about the next life. Anyway, this I can explain in the next week. But today, what we have to do as Buddhists within this lifetime in order to lead peaceful, happy, contented life with confidence. That is the most important thing that lacking in our mind. No confidence. It is due to lack of confidence we create lot of suspicion, fear, worries, insecurity feeling, and disappointment. Many of these problems we are facing due to lack of confidence. Uncertainty. There is no certainty. But when we lead the Buddhist way of life as taught by the Buddha, very easily we can develop that confidence. Then we can understand what to do with this life. Many people actually do not know what to do with this life. We have to start from the very beginning. When I explain Mangala Sutta, 38 kinds of blessing. Blessing means we gain happiness, confidence, satisfaction, we fulfill our duties, responsibilities, obligations by leading that way of life introduced by the Buddha. That is Buddhism for this life. Start. He says, Asevanacha balana. Try to keep away from narrow-minded, wicked, cruel people. If you associate with them, very easily they can influence you, but you cannot influence them. Therefore, your duty is to keep away from them. That is Buddhist way of life. Then Panditanancha Sevana. Try to associate with those who can guide you, advise you, point out your mistakes, weaknesses. Then very important for you to carry on your way of life, because there are many things that you can learn from that person. That is Buddhist way of life. Puja cha pujaniyana. This you can find only in the teachings of the Buddha. There is no another religion in this world you can find this teaching. What is that? Respect those who are worthy of respect, irrespective of their religion, race, color. If you think they are worthy of respect, the Buddha advises us to respect them. But all the other religions say you can respect only to your God or the founder of your religion. You cannot respect another person, another religious teacher. It is a blessing according to the Buddha. Take for instance, we do not condemn Jesus or Muhammad or Krishna or the founders of other religions. We can respect them by considering the services that they have done towards others. Then people can understand we are very liberal-minded people. Jealousy, discriminations are not in our mind. Then people welcome us. People support us, having seen our attitude. That is Buddhist way of life. But by neglecting these qualities, virtues, duties, we cannot lead the Buddhist way of life. Just because we pray and worship and attend religious services, we are not good Buddhists. To be good Buddhists, we have to fulfill all these duties. The Buddha says there are 10 kinds of duties for you to fulfill. By neglecting these, whatever religion you practice, real religious values are not in your life. You can say, I worship and worship, we pray and pray and pray, we do some offerings and offering, but all the important aspect is not there. What are those 10 kinds of duties? You may think, oh, they're very simple, but we do not take seriously into our minds. It is our duty, bounden duty, to fulfill these duties. If you want to lead a Buddhist way of life, first, we have to attend to our father and mother. By neglecting father and mother, we cannot practice a religion. Because respecting father and mother is practicing Buddhism. Then you must know your duties towards your husband and towards your wife. If you neglect your duties, there is no peaceful life at home, there is no happiness in that married life, there is no religious qualities in that way of life. He has pointed out, husband should not treat his wife as a servant, just only a housewife. Regard your wife as your good friend. No discrimination. Should not think wife is lower, husband is higher. Now see, if they can maintain this good quality, what a peaceful life they can maintain. Again the Buddha says, don't forget to give a gift to your wife on her birthday. See, Buddha has gone up to that extent. Don't forget your wife on her birthday. Again, wife. The Buddha said, don't waste what your husband earned and hand over to you. It is your duty to protect and use or spend properly. Again he says, you should not go out and talk ill of your husband. You should not create bad reputation about your husband. Then when husband relatives come to your house, the wife should not discriminate them. Treat them nicely. Can avoid so many misunderstandings, problems, enmity, calamities, if they can follow this way of life. That is Buddhist way of life. Husband and wife. Husband must try to understand the mentality of wife. Wife must try to understand the mentality of husband. They have two different way of thinking. You cannot find two human beings in this world who think equally. Never. They have their own way of thinking. Now husband and wife want to live together peacefully, but they have different mentalities. If they cannot understand this, almost every day argument, criticizing, attacking, shouting, fighting, lot of problems. If you can understand, take for instance, by nature, husband is very hot-tempered, by nature. Wife cannot change that. By scolding, accusing, blaming, wife cannot change that. That is his intrinsic, inborn character. Therefore, the duty of the wife is not to provoke, not to irritate, not to disturb him. Then there is no chance for him to show his anger. On the other hand, wife, naturally, she is very jealous type, suspicious mind. Husband cannot change that. Therefore, it is the duty of the husband to behave in such a way without allowing her to create suspicion and jealousy. Now, both can live peacefully together. Here you can understand vast differences, but through understanding, they can live together. They can tolerate so many things. There was a very hot-tempered housewife. For a minor mistake, she said, "You are a stupid idiot." But husband is a very calm, very peaceful, and never get angry. He can tolerate anything. Every time when she scolded him, saying, "You are a stupid idiot," he keep quiet. Anyway, one day, when she said, "You are a stupid idiot," husband said, "I think you are right. If I am not a stupid idiot, do you think I ever get married a woman like you?" Can you believe? From that day onwards, she never uttered that word. This is the way how to overcome our problems and differences without aggravating our anger or jealousy or something. To do something, to say something, not to aggravate, but to reduce. This is the technique. Now the Buddha has given this advice. Your duty is toward the husband and the wife. Again, parents and children. Parents have a lot of responsibilities. Not only providing food and academic knowledge, but they have to keep an eye on where they go, what they do, with whom they associate. Parents have to do that. Otherwise, they can go out of the way. To guide them properly from the very beginning, parents are responsible. Then, train them to carry on the family tradition, way of life, and business, or whatever it may be, to maintain what their family members have been doing, family tradition. Then, when the time comes, it is the duty of the parent to find out suitable partner, boy or girl, for their children. Those days, young boys and girls never go out to meet a boy or girl. Never. Only parents from both sides. They go out in searching suitable girl or boy for their children. Then the both parties, parents from both families, get together and discuss and finalize everything. After that, arrange their marriage. Then they can live very peaceful life, because they have observed, studied many things, their background and what you call income and everything. So it is the duty of the parent. Of course, nowadays many young boys and girls find out their own. So if parents do not object, it's okay. Again, it is the duty of the parent to teach something, whether they are intelligent or not, for their living. With the boy or girl, teach something, not only book knowledge, academic knowledge, but to do something for their living. Parents must do that. Then children, on the other hand, their duties. When father and mother are old, it is their duty to attend to them. When they are sick, when they are old, when they are poor, children must attend to them. They cannot practice religion by neglecting their father and mother. Again, another advice is given by the Buddha, but not so easy to do. So when you come to know the way of life of your father and mother is wrong, you must try your best to bring them into the correct path. This is a difficult problem, because conservative ideas maintained by elderly people. They carry it out for generations. They don't have to give up. They don't want to see whether they are right or wrong. They want to continue. But the educated children can understand that their practices are meaningless, wasting their life for nothing. Advice given by the Buddha, you must try your best to bring your father and mother into the correct path. It is their duty. Then, when they depart from this world, you should not neglect them. Physically they are separated, but their affection, love, attachment are still very strong, like magnets. This mental energy works. So mental communication is there. Because of this element separated, no connection. But the mental energy, love, attachment are still maintained. That is why you can transfer the merit for them if they need. This is also one of the important duties of the children. So when you fulfill all these duties, you are leading a Buddhist way of life. You follow the Buddha's advice. Again, he says, you have relatives. You should not neglect them. You should not forget them. You must develop your relationship with them. Occasionally, you must visit them, invite them, and entertain them. Then you develop your blood relationship. So when you are in trouble, sometimes they come and support you. When they are in trouble, you can go and do something for them because of this relationship. Then, in the same Mangala Sutta, Jnata Kanancha Sangaho. Jnata means relative. You must know how to associate, how to entertain your relative. You have friends. Friends are very important. Without friends, we feel some sort of loneliness. We must have a reliable, trustworthy friend. The Buddha has mentioned this, Vissasa Parama Jnati. A trustworthy friend is the real relatives. The relationship, mental communication with the friend is stronger than blood relationship, mind-to-mind relationship. Therefore, you must have reliable, trustworthy friend. Then you gain some sort of confidence also. When you are in trouble, he or she may come and support you. When he is in trouble, you go and do what you can. You have to develop this. Then he says, there are some duties for you to fulfill the country and the nation. You are living in this country, in this society, with various other races, with the followers of other religions, but we should not discriminate them. We should not neglect them. You must try to associate with them, invite them, develop your friendship, goodwill, understanding with the others. then can live peacefully. There are some duties for you to fulfill towards the government. You cannot go against the government. Even for the monk who have renounced the worldly life, the Buddha says, Anujanami bhikkhave rajanam anuvattita. I advise you to obey, to listen to the rulers. Rajanam anuvattita. Therefore, the monks cannot say, oh, we are not going to obey or listen to the government. They are subjected. Advice was given by the Buddha. Now, these are things that we have to understand. Then two more, very important. Not to forget our departed relatives, not only parents, anybody from our family, whether grandmother, grandfather, uncle or auntie or brother or sisters, if they are related to you, after they are dead, if there is anything that you can do in memory, in honor of your departed one, that is your duty. And this duty is not only for the one side. When we remember them, when you do some religious service in memory of them, they will be very happy. If they need, they receive the merit, then they will be benefited. If they do not depend on your merit, but when they come to know that you have done something for them, in return you also get their blessing, because you have mental communication. It is very important not to neglect the departed one. This is one of the reasons why the Chinese had to go to India 2000 years ago to learn Buddhism. The reason is, this belief was not there in China at that time. Confucius, he lived only about 80 years after the Buddha. Lao Tzu, 30 years after the Buddha. Same period. When this question was put to Confucius, whether there will be another life after our death, Confucius said, still we do not know what this life is. How do we know whether there will be another life? That belief was not there in China at that time. Then another person, is there anything that we can do for our departed ones? Confucius said, still we have not learned how to fulfill our duties toward the living ones. So what can we do for the departed ones? For these two questions, they found out the answer in the teachings of the Buddha and introduced to China. So, for their well-being as well as for our benefit also, we develop our communication, relationship, even after physically no connection, but the life is there, mind is there. Life and mind never die. Only this physical body dies. Then Deva. Don't forget the Devas. When you perform some meritorious deeds, some religious services, invite the Devas to share the merit. It is not transference. Transference only for the departed one. Sharing of merit with the living one, human beings and Devas. But we cannot share the merit with animals, because they cannot absorb. They cannot understand. Devas and human beings, when we express, today we have done this kind of meritorious deeds, so I accrued lot of merits. I invite you also to share this merit. When you invite others to share the merit, you won't get what you call lesser degree of merit, because you have share with others. You increase the merit by sharing with others, by transferring merit to others. You increase the real religious value, because these two activities are also meritorious deeds. Transference of merit is meritorious deed. Sharing of merit is also meritorious deeds. Therefore you increase your merits by transferring, by inviting others to share. And then Devas, there are two groups, earthly bound and heavenly. Earthly bound Devas are close to us. Some of them are our relatives, our friends. But still we have our mental communication. But we must know how to develop our relationship, our communication, for our own benefit. In the Ratana Sutra, the Buddha has mentioned this. Divacha rattocha haranti ye balin tasmahi nerakkata appamatta. Those devotees who perform some religious services invite the Devas to share the merit. Then the advice given by the Buddha to Devas, tasmahi nerakkata appamatta. Therefore it is your duty to protect them. They can do only that much. Devas can protect certain accident, misfortune and lot of difficulties that we had to face. We get the chance to avoid, escape through the influence of Devas. This is the Buddhist concept of God. Deva means God. We do not worship them. We do not pray. They cannot give us wisdom. They cannot send us to heaven. They cannot send us to hell. Impossible. But Devas or God can do only this much. What is that? They can protect us. They keep an eye on. Then when we are getting into trouble or certain misfortune, somehow or the other we get the chance to escape. That is through the influence of devas. This is the advice given by the Buddha. Tasmahi nerakkata appamatta. It is your duty to protect them, those who have invited them to share the merit that they have gained. So if we can fulfill all these duties, what the Buddha has pointed out, we are leading a Buddhist way of life for this world, for the benefit of this world. Again, when we are going to associate with others, work with others, we must have lot of patience, tolerance and understanding. Otherwise we cannot work with others. The place where you work or in the society, when you associate with others, you must have discipline. Otherwise people don't care. They never respect you. They never listen to you. They don't want to look at your face also. But when your mind is free from those evil, cruel, wicked thoughts, your face becomes very cheerful. People like to see your face, pleasing, soothing to their eyes. Because face is the mirror of the mind. When you look at the face, we can understand the nature of the mind. Straight away we can understand. And look at the faces of all those terrorists appear in television and the newspapers. Look at their faces. Can you find a single face? But only one person, he is a number one crook. Osama bin Laden, so serene like a meditator. But the mind is so cruel, so wicked. For that World Trade Centers, 4,000 innocent people died. He said, well done. That is the nature of the mind. But face is so serene. They know how to adjust, to change their face. So naturally, it is very clearly mentioned in this Sanskrit saying, Akarai ingitaya gatya chestaya bhasanenacha netra vakta vikarena dakshate antargata mana. Antargata means inside, mana means mind. We can understand the invisible mind by watching the face, the eyes, the words and behavior. What is inside the mind, we can understand. So mind is the mirror to show others the nature of the mind. So when others come to know, we are kind, we have goodwill, we have patience, we have understanding. Then the follower of any religion, any race, even animals come nearer to us. When they come to know, we have no such cruelty in our mind that we want to catch and kill. Birds and some creatures come to certain people, come nearer without fear. To some others, they run away. Because they have that instinct, our mental attitude. So when we show our kindness to animal, for a certain period, this animal also come nearer and nearer. Now let us take a wild monkey. First when we go, they run away. Slowly, slowly we take some bread, something we throw away and come and pick and eat. Then slowly, slowly, slowly come near, then can touch. Our mind develop up to that. Even animals also come nearer to us. And the Buddhist method taught by the Buddha is to radiate our metta by reducing anger, jealousy, grudge and ill will and cruelty, all the evil forces, reducing them, develop only metta. This metta you can radiate. Then those animals also come nearer to them. Those who meditate in the jungle, there are fierce animals, tigers, lions and fierce animals. They never come and attack those who meditate in the jungle. Because through radiating their metta, they create environment around that area that animals also never come and disturb. That is Buddhist way of life. Buddhism is for us to do certain duties through understanding. Only to encourage others, to invite others, to come to know others, we organize various festivals, religious activities. It is important, but the real meaning of religious way of life, just now I mentioned, which is important for us to live peacefully in this world without fear. We can live without suspicion, because we never show our anger, our ill will, our jealousy, our enmity toward others. Then they also slowly come nearer to us. That is Buddhism for this life, Buddhism for this world. For the next week, I mentioned Buddhism for the next world. What will happen to us when we go to next world? Okay. Any question? I can't catch it. Huh? Wife. More than one wife. Better to become a Muslim, Regarding this question, I have mentioned this in my book, Happy Married Life, and what Buddhists believe. I mentioned this. There is no such religious rules or precept in the teachings of the Buddha that man must keep only one wife. Buddha has never mentioned to say you must have only one. But he has pointed out, if married man goes to another woman, what will happen to him? A lot of problems and troubles and fighting with his own wife and bluffing and cheating, no peace, bad reputation. This is the Buddhist attitude. Yes, what is your second question? Catch, what is devas? What is it? How can they share the merit or whatever? Pleading? Of course. There is no argument about that. There are 31 groups of living beings in this whole universe. Human beings in one group, Devas another group, Brahma another group, a spirit or ghost some other group, animals another group. Altogether there are 31. All are living beings. But some are visible, some are invisible. Now Devas and Brahmas are invisible to our naked eyes. A spirit and ghost, invisible to our naked eyes. They do exist. They have life. Anything else? Not so easy. But their mind create that vision, like dreams. Our memories reflect, then create the vision. So, it's not so easy to see those through our naked eyes. But those who have attained higher stage of sainthood, they can see all those living beings, the spirit and ghost and devas and brahmas, with their psychic power. But by using our normal naked eyes, we cannot see them. The reason is, the formations of their life is not like ours. We have more element. Therefore it is tangible or visible because of the element. But there are some other living beings, invisible element, but the life energy is there. They can exist. That is why we cannot see them. That's all. Then sharing of merit. Imina punya kammena upajjaya gunottara acari upakarata mata pita piya mama suriyo candimaraja gunavanta narapicha brahma marajaindacha lokapalacha devata yamo mitamanussaja majjata verikavicha sabbe satta dukhiyantu punyani katani sukkanja dividammentu hippang papetavomata imina punya ammena imina undi venaca hippang suklabheceva sannupadat cedanam ye santa denadam yavanibbanatu mama nassantu sabbadaeva yatta jato bhavi bhavi ujjujitto satipanyo salle ko viriyavamina maralaman dunokasam katunca viriyesume buddhadi pavarunato dhammo nato varuttamo nato vacceka sambuddho sangho nato taro mama tesottamano bhavena भवतु सब मंगलं रक्षन्तु सब देव सब बुद्धानुभावेन सदा शुद्धि भवन्तु ते भवतु सब मंगलं रक्षन्तु सब देवता सब धम्मानुभावेन सदा शुद्धि भवन्तु ते भवतु सब मंगलं तु सब देवता सब संघानुभावेन सदा शुद्धि भवन्तु ते।